Alrighty, let's call this one Weird Manifesting. My name is Mr. 2020. This is the Neville Goddard Podcast. Today we're going to dive into weird manifesting. And we're going to uncover one of the number one blocks why people quit this. By the way, you can't quit. You can quit playing, but you can't quit. It's like quitting breathing. Anyway, you're either going to be aware of how you breathe. You could even change how you breathe, but you're going to be breathing as long as you're here. Anyway, ready? Weird manifesting. So one of my lovely Triple D and MM people, I don't know if she shared this publicly, so I'm not going to name names. Or you know who you are. Long story short, there was something that wasn't there, and then there's something that was. It wasn't there. She imagined something, and now it was. I'm really shortening the story down. I got to keep the anonymity there. By the way, I've done this a lot. More than one person in the group has done this a lot. See, I love stuff like this because one day I was looking for my Apple Pencil. It's like $200 or something, right? They're not cheap. So I was looking for my Apple Pencil, and it wasn't there. I waited a couple of days. I'm looking for my Apple Pencil. Can't find it anywhere. All right. By the way, Neville talked all the time. Well, more than once, or maybe just once. He said the number of times where he failed to fully move, if you knew. See, here's the fun thing. You're not nailing everything. Neville didn't nail everything. I didn't nail everything. But at some point, I experienced using my Apple Pencil. I had an imaginal experience, and it changed my physical experience because suddenly my Apple Pencil is there. It's at the base of my computer. And I asked Victoria, where'd you find it? Where'd you find what? My Apple Pencil. What do you mean, found your Apple Pencil? I mean, you can imagine the marital discord there. Right? It's like I'm overstepping my boundaries or something. We did a podcast on boundaries and love. Make sure you listen to it. It's a couple episodes old now. But really, it's like she didn't find it, she didn't put it there. I didn't find it, I didn't put it there. But suddenly it's there. Because I imaginally experienced using it, and suddenly it's there. See, a lot of people say, I don't know, man, that's weird. I've shared, and now we have other people in the group sharing where, like, they've healed themselves of cuts, burns, shit that hurts. Stuff that, you see, my whole thing was the attitude behind it all. I don't have time for this. We did a podcast on what are you making time for? Right? Some people make time to suffer. Some people make time to complain. Some people make time to have massive meals of muck instead of just going on a quick mental diet. You see, weird manifesting. See, and people tell me, nah, 20, that's too weird for me. I don't get it. Instantly healing yourself of a cut. Well, why don't you change your eye color? I have no desire to. But I once dated a girl who did that. They were green, they became brown. And somebody says, oh, that's always possible. There's some genetic thing and that some people have. And it's like, right, when in doubt, blame it on genetics. You see, when I grew up, right, I grew up in the 70s, man. And they blamed things on Carter, Reagan, Gorbachev. Who else did they blame things on? The Pope. Jesus was coming. Some people blamed the nuns. Yeah, people are always blaming something on everything. Because it's too weird to have personal accountability and responsibility, isn't it? You see, I find manifesting, quote unquote, I find the pearl of great price to be the weirdest lifestyle ever. Because I have to admit, I'm the cause. When you buy the pearl of great price, that's you. You have to sell everything else. It's not their fault. End of line. And that's weird, because around you, almost everyone, almost all the time, is blaming something on something. You see, I don't blame petrol on where my car goes. That's gasoline for you folks in America. You see, I don't blame gasoline for where the car goes. The car needs gasoline, so I put it in. See, I don't blame grapefruit juice for being healthy, but I find myself wanting grapefruit juice. I'm imagining health. I'm imagining being thinner. All right? And guess what's happening? All right, I'm wearing shirts I couldn't wear 2 years ago. That's pretty cool. And I find myself drinking grapefruit juice, but I don't blame the grapefruit juice. And people go, well, that's weird, man. Tell me what you're doing, and I'll do it. Well, I tell them, hey, I started to experience what it's like to wear shirts I haven't worn for years, and having them be loose, and showing Victoria, yo. And I go, oh, yeah, well, tell me, what else are you doing? What are you really doing? That's the question I like. What are you really doing? You see, in ManifestingMasteryCourse.com, in week 2, I believe, we have a lesson where, well, we've got a couple lessons. One of them has us explore that I became because I became. I became a wealthy, successful, whatever. It's not an affirmation. I became a happy, loving husband because I became a happy, loving husband. You see, there's a truth there that needs explored, not explained. And the more you explore it, the more you get there's levels to that exploration. It's not just a bumper sticker. It's not just a saying. But whenever you do that, at that portion of the course, and you keep going, some magical noticing is happening. And that's weird. I became because I became? Nah, I gotta find someone to blame. Anyway, imaginal experience leads physical experience. That's well worth exploring. Don't settle for my explanation here. If you want the experiences that change your experiences, join us in ManifestingMasteryCourse.com. But let's continue, shall we? This is a weird way of life. And a lot of people don't want to be perceived as weird. Because if you're perceived as weird, you become perceived as food. That's why people try to blend in. In Australia, we call it the tall poppy syndrome. Don't say anything. Don't stand out. Blend in. Radio, I'm not good at that. I love Australia, but we are fascinated with averages here. And we're fascinated with being just above average here. I listen, I eavesdrop on a lot of conversations. I'm not settled, I'm not into average. Because the average man your age, Mr. 2020, starts to experience what? You see, I'm not average. I'm not even typical. And that's weird. But I got to tell you something. So in Dream Driven Day, we do these group calls. Each Dream Driven Day program is 3 group calls. They're about 2 weeks apart. And one of the things that shows up is really exploring who you are. Really exploring. That's what we do. We explore in those calls how this works. And really letting you show up. Because if you don't show up in your day, you don't show up in your destiny. You wake up and you go, yep, this is what I became because of blah, blah, blah. Yep, I'm a part of history. This is what happened. One more. Words don't have power, but I notice how people use words. And when people say things, well, let me tell you what's happening. Did you see what they did? Did you see what happened in Congress the other day? I said, yeah, you know what I saw happened? Right? See, here's the thing. I don't care. Let me tell you what I'm doing. Notice who I'm being. Those are active verbs. This is called an active lifestyle. And I'm not saying change your verbs, but you'll notice we do a podcast. We don't tell you what happened. We do a podcast. I don't tell you, well, the sun came up today. I tell you, I enjoyed the sunrise. There's such a massive difference whenever you realize you are at the center of all your life. Yeah, the Pearl of Great lifestyle. So, you want to join in the fun? We've got a couple options. ManifestingMasteryCourse.com. That's the one that we always talk about, isn't it? That's the backbone. $97.98 program. It's not personal development. It's very, very fascinating personal exploration. See, why settle for an explanation whenever you can have an exploration? I got asked last night. I responded today. What's the difference between your podcast and ManifestingMasteryCourse.com? And it's like they both take 15 minutes. They both have the sound of my voice. And they both will change your life. The difference is one of them is like a road trip mapped out from Pittsburgh to Portland. Or from where you are to where you want to go. I want to see you on the other side. And the road trip gets you there. On the other hand, while you're on the road trip, feel free to listen to some random tunes. And that's what this is. This is whatever's on my mind. A course is a course. It takes you from here to there. Think adventure. That's ManifestingMasteryCourse.com. And sharing is caring for those who share the show, those who share their lives with us. Thank you. My name is Mr. 2020. This is the Neville Goddard Podcast. All rights reserved. Coming to you live from Melbourne, Australia. See ya.